Your story is really heartbreaking. In fact, we have a clip of you talking about how you were trying to get your life back in order from WABC, a local news station here in New York. Let's take a look.
Where do I bring the baby? Because she has to come back to school. And there's nowhere to place to sit. If you see the house, there's nowhere to sit, nowhere to sleep, nowhere to lay down. I'm the little person with a child who's not getting into a house. My house is rotting and my child doesn't have a place to go.
Feleza, the emotion is so palpable. I mean, I can even see you coming back to tears. I mean, tell us what happened.
I can't believe that just brought it all back. Well, what happened was that FEMA didn't believe that I lived in the house that I owned. They were not believing because of some glitch with the address. There's like a double address to that home.
But you provided them all the necessary paperwork. I mean, what was the cause of this?
They see an address that's from the utilities, it's LIPA. And it's really, that address is an old address. It's the point of entry of service of gas and electricity into that street. But it's not the actual physical address of the house. And I gave them the deed. I gave them the statement from the banks that say this is my primary residence. There's no, and taxes show that there's no rental income or anything.
And that this was the only home you owned.
Yeah. And it was only after writing to the senator and also the help of another media that I got final attention. And all of a sudden, FEMA was calling me off the hook.
Right. I have to ask you, your neighbors were at the time, I mean, you can see the emotion in that clip. That's why we wanted to show the clip. They were receiving their checks, most of them at least. And what was it like going through that process at a time when you felt like you had lost everything?
The neighbors directly across the street. I mean, a small street. There's no difference in address. We're getting their checks to move out. FEMA agents were walking up and down the street, but I was relocated because I couldn't live in the house. I was relocated for 9 months. So they were knocking on my gate, you should call. And they insisted that they called, and they never called. I was waiting and waiting.
Of course. And what did they tell you? I mean, I know you touched on it, but what did FEMA say to you? I know there was a mix-up of some sorts.
They said, we believe, we understand that you own the house. We don't need proof of that. We need proof that you live in the house.
And so they were inspecting the homes in the Rockaway, right?
And no one was coming or contacting me, so I could come back and open the gate to let them in to see the house.
So your home wasn't inspected?
No. It was a month and 2 days before they got to my house.
That's crazy. I mean, even President Obama, who was very critical and outspoken about cutting through all the bureaucracy, we've heard these stories, and all the red tape, weighed in on the process. Let's look at what he had to say.
We are not going to tolerate red tape. We're not going to tolerate bureaucracy. I've instituted a 15-minute rule, essentially, on my team. You return everybody's phone calls in 15 minutes.
What was your reaction when you heard him say that?
Matter of fact, I brought it up that night that I was getting some help, some attention. I said that the president said there's not supposed to be any red tape. And I mentioned that I learned that there was some little red tape going on within FEMA. The agents at the tent were very sincere. I mean, I remember running in, breaking down, and they took my hand and they were struggling. I saw them typing and everything again and again. And what it is there's something between the agents in the tent. These agents that came to New York, to Rockaway were actual NIPSI people who have the rights to inspect themselves, and someone higher in their agency was not allowing them to really do for us what we needed.
Right.
I have to say I thank God for one his name was Jesus, who helped me unbelievably. To this day, I have to thank him.
Well, and that's an appropriate name.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. I actually mentioned this as your name means salvation. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.